This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Life Transformation Radio is heard in over 90 countries. Thank you for joining us from all around the world. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to Life Transformation Radio for some time, I want to personally thank you. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. Please rate and review Life Transformation Radio on your favorite podcast platform. Also, personal invitation from me to you. Please join us on Facebook in the Life Transformation Radio community. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today, she does just that. In this episode, Hilary DeCesare and I discuss finding the silver lining that will turn your transition into a life-changing transformation. Ooh, I like how we did that. So if you want to learn how to face setbacks, steps to hit the reset button, and live life through your heart, the head, and the higher self, this is the show for you. Hilary is an award-winning entrepreneur, Transformational-Neuro Certified Coach, CEO of the ReLaunch Co, featured speaker in Silicon Valley and conferences nationwide, as well as a relentless philanthropist as seen on the hit ABC show Secret Millionaire. She's made her commitment to help women fire up possibilities midlife, taking a time most try to bypass and instead turn it into a time to focus on inspiring business ventures, have clarity in relationships, and so much more. Hilary, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Oh, Rob, I love being here, and I love being a part of Mr. Action today and talking to you about all things possible.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. And, I just want to thank you. So I'm all about transparency and authenticity, and I pull the curtain back, and I just want to say, we've been on here for probably 40 minutes before we started this podcast today, and right before I was supposed to get on with Hilary, and she was so kind about this, I just gave the final request for my dad to receive last rites. He is in hospice, and he's at the very end of life. And, I'll be honest with you, I'm a professional, and I've been really trying to just start this show. And it took a while, and I just want to say thank you so much, Hilary, for being so kind to just, your time. And I just had to get through this process. It just wasn't working. It's a big thing, I haven't seen my dad in a long time, and COVID has been really destructive in a lot of people's lives, this pandemic, and I haven't seen him, and I still don't get to see him, and it's really difficult to say goodbye to your parents. It's just friends, they're going to die. They just know your friends are going to die, but your parents are going to be there forever, and to say kind of goodbye is overwhelming, and I just want to say thank you. So,
well, and as I said, that I'm sitting here in my dad's house right now, and I'm I'm trying to squeeze out the remaining maybe weeks or months that I have with him. And right before COVID started, I lost my mom to a year-long battle. So I think that there's a reason that you and I were scheduled to talk today, and things happen, and this is why we're here. And it just so happened that I had more time, and you and I had a great conversation, and I think that there might be a big friendship here. So it's great.
I definitely will say that there is. I really, it's amazing how life is so transformational, and we can talk about big events that happen, but just transformational, and how I know just from what we talked about, the impact that I can have on your life. And that to me is lights me up, and that makes my life worth living. And so thank you for being here. And the universe is amazing how we don't even know how we connected. And here we are right here on Life Transformation Radio. So thank you so much. And my heart and prayers go out to you, what you're going through. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, you can. That's why it's interesting that I'm your guest today.
Yeah.
Because, there's, and I'm going to throw one other little thing on.
Absolutely.
Is that, my dog, another reason I'm here in this house is my dog, is with my ex-husband. And he took our dog when my mom was too weak to have a big dog around, and has, for the last year, had our dog Crosby.
Right.
And Crosby got melanoma about 3 months ago, and this is probably his last week too, so I'm here saying goodbye. And so there's just, there's lots of things, and as the world continues to change, and there's new directions that we keep taking, I think it's so important to have a platform like you do with this show to be able to assess everybody's issues that we're all going through them. Every single person, everyone is having either a mini relaunch, a mega relaunch. And it's timing wise is so relevant to have people like you that, immediately you're like, I can help you. And I'm sitting here saying, you can help me, I can help you. And that's what we have to be doing these days, is
Absolutely.
Leaning into the service that we can provide for others, because it is, the boomerang effect that what you put out, you'll get back for sure.
Absolutely. I was so excited. Like I said, I don't know how we cross paths. I'm so glad we have. And, when I was doing research for the show and seeing this, it mentioned that you were on Secret Millionaire. And I went back and looked at the episode. I'm like, I remember her. Like, I fell in love with you. You make me cry. You were just such a beautiful soul. Just talk a little bit about your experience on Secret Millionaire, because it was transformational for not only you, but for a few other lives. I just have to say, when you were cleaning that bathroom, that was very moving. So let's overview of what happened.
An overview of that was at the time, and I think I mentioned to you that I was being asked to be on either Shark Tank or Secret Millionaire, and I hated the name Secret Millionaire. I thought that's like, I'm so opposed to the name, because it's not what we're doing. It's not about that. It's about highlighting people who are doing incredible things that wouldn't normally get highlighted.
Right.
And as I got more interested in sharing, and they put you together with organizations and people that directly reflect what you're really passionate about. And it was children, it was about education, it was about, the service of what people are doing. And one of them, and you just watched it so you'll know, one of them was about losing people in your life. And the organization was called New Hope, and they went out and helped people in crisis situations when people were losing loved ones, or in horrific environments where, mass shootings and things like that. And I remember talking to them, which, by the way, the woman who owned the entire organization and ran it, she ended up being in my wedding. That's how much I connected with this woman. Wow. She ended up being one of our speakers, and it was just beautiful. And I've literally, maintained such a deep friendship. But here's the thing. I had no idea when I was highlighting her, when I was highlighting the show, and her business, how much it would end up that she ended up helping me when my mom was diagnosed suddenly with colon cancer and then passed away suddenly within, less than 12 months. And wow. She fought like heck.
I'm so sorry.
But she ended up being my crutch. And so you talk about how things, are all interrelated, and wow. The blessing of that show is, yes, I met the most incredible people, and there are people out there, and, for those that hear this and say, oh my God, Hilary's talking about me, it's okay, because that was me. Those
right.
people that want to help, and we just write checks.
Right.
And we write a check and we think, I've done my service, I've done my good. But the day that you start to say, I'm going to give my time, not just my money, but my time, there is an incredible thing that happens to you inside as you give your time to somebody that needs it. And that was the biggest takeaway from the show. It was incredible. And since then, I have continued to donate, not just the money, which, lots of organizations need money right now, but equally they need your brain power. They need, hard labor is one of them. And as you said, there were many times in that show.
Your brain power. I've donated.
There's a lot of them,
I've donated my voice for a lot of organizations for fundraising. I've done a lot for hospice, which is amazing. I've been responsible for millions of dollars collected from projects for hospice, where I did fundraising videos.
Beautiful.
Look at that. My dad's in hospice now. Yeah, I learned in this process, and it was interesting going through this hospice, and they were talking about palliative care, and they couldn't believe I could even say it. And I said, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly what hospice. They were trying to explain, and I go, I got this. I know exactly what it is. I'm thrilled to have you taking care of my father as he transitions to death. And I think it's beautiful what you do, and it's amazing what they do. So I've donated my time and my voice to hospices around the country. And one of the favorite things I love to do, because people don't know what it's like to not have enough money for food. A lot of people don't understand that. And it's a terrible feeling, especially in this country, to not have any money for food, especially for your kid. And it's horrific. And there are food banks in every single major city. And I love to go to the food bank, put on my jeans and t-shirt, and I just pack food. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful, it's the most fulfilling thing you could ever imagine. And if you feel like, oh, my life sucks, it doesn't suck. And to be there of service is truly a humbling experience, and it really reframes a lot of stuff that you think are problems in your life.
It sure does. And there's also the point where for those that want to potentially do something and you're saying, well, what do I really, how can I really help anyone?
Right.
It's what are you passionate about? What gets your heart to that point where it kind of pulls you? Is it animals? Is it old people? Yeah. Is it, youth and maybe sports around it? Whatever it is, you don't have to be knowledgeable in it, because they'll let you know what they need. It's just giving openly, giving freely. And wow, I do something in one of my programs. At the end of it, I always have this, it's called the Circle of Eight. And there's a woman that wrote a great book about it, that when you put out energy for another person, you get just as much back.
You get more.
You get just as much back.
You get more.
Even more, because what you're putting out, if we're all energy, we're all, it doesn't matter if you're in person, if you're over, a Zoom. I was thinking about you, the experience you're going through with your dad, doing the final, having that ability to give you that empathy, give you that emotional support. And I could do it as we were talking about it. And it then dawned on me, as I said, wow, isn't it crazy that I'm sitting in a room at my parents' house, at my dad's and my stepmom, and I'm getting back that same gift of what you were sharing and saying, and yes, that's why I'm here right now. So it's interesting, and it's wonderful. It is. So for those that, can give a little time, I know that, some areas are going back into, this mask and lockdown and blah, blah, blah. But, you don't have to necessarily be in person. You can still do it.
Yeah.
Just as we saw, you gave me and I gave you what we needed to hear. So anyway, I love it.
Well, I guess that goes towards finding the silver lining. I've discovered, one of the things that I've learned in this transition of getting him into hospice, and I'm the only, survivor of him. I'm his only son. And it's really shown me who I am as a person in the way that I am having him treated. So there is someone that visits him. I'll just talk about it. So I was molested by my stepmom when I was a kid. And my stepmom has been visiting him for 3 and 4 hours at a time. He doesn't remember any of the past. So she's been there. So it brings him joy over the fact that there's someone visiting him and she genuinely loves him. I have issues with her because what she did was wrong. And it took a lot of work, deep work to overcome that. And even the point I'm like, here I am talking about it on, my show, but it's okay. It's my past. I've thrived from it. I'm not a victim, and that's okay. But the silver lining is I didn't realize how much power I possessed as the son of my father now that he's transitioning. And I did. I did his do not resuscitate order. I handled everybody who could be around him, the food that he ate or didn't eat. I got him in a private room. I got him music, and I have a requirement that music's on 24 hours a day. I can also control who has access to him to visit him. And it was interesting because I'm like, I'm cutting her off. She's not going to go visit him, blah, blah, blah. And within a matter of 1/1,000,000th of a second, I said, you know what? I'm not doing that to my dad. She's visited him like every other day for like 3 hours. So the silver lining in all of this was, wow, I've really done the work, and I really saw who I am as a human being and as a person. And I'm like, Dad, you made me. So look at that. No matter how crappy a dad you were, whatever things we had, I'm from your stock. And so that was kind of honoring him in a really cool way. But that's a silver lining, and a silver lining of,
it's a big one.
Yeah. And so I'm going to do a Facebook Live today about talking about transition. And this is this is going to be the show. And it's just very powerful how, the silver lining is you're there in Boulder. You had a little extra time. You weren't in busy, and we were able to connect. And, the conversation we had before this show could actually be a show, which is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. There's something that you said there that I want to take a step back and make sure that we really address it. And that is when you talk about something that's happened to you in the past and your interpretation of it initially and how that grew into your belief system and how you immediately, and I know through lots of effort on your side, you have been able to take a situation that is awful, that was a terrible, life-changing situation for you, and you have now allowed yourself to detach from
absolutely
the attachment to it that defined who you are.
Yeah.
And I have to acknowledge you right now and say, I felt when you said it was a nanosecond that, she's there, she's been spending 3 hours, and you decided that it wasn't about you and you weren't letting that story continue to own you. You detached from it.
Yeah.
And there is an amazing process for taking care of those beliefs that keep coming up and coming out in certain areas of your life in the most inopportune time. And when you really know how to do it, there's a sense of power and your personal power that, Rob, you took back. I mean, what an incredible, pivotal moment for you when you said that this is what I'm allowing to happen.
Yeah.
I'm allowing this woman who, literally created, this terrible series of events in my life, but it's not going to define me anymore.
Exactly. So and it was amazing because
it's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah. Even the point of that on FaceTime, I had never seen a certain angle. They had a certain angle, and there's this wall of photographs of her and him throughout my life. And there's one that I saw cut out, which I thought was funny, but I was just like, wow, I've done the work. I'm doing good. It was amazing. It was a transformational moment for me. It really was. And you know, you have to think of your heart and your head and the higher self and all of that of who we are. And it's so important to live in the very present moment and not to live in the past. The past doesn't define you. You may be able to reach back and grab great things about your past, but you don't have to grab everything. It's kind of like a smorgasbord. You can just like, okay, got it, it's done at the back. My favorite scene of The Lion King where the monkey, I can't think what it is, but he hits Simba with the stick and he goes, that's in your past. You know, and it's just great. It's so powerful to not live in your past. And I talk about it all the time because if I lived in my past, I wouldn't be able to make the impact that I make now. I just wouldn't. And I choose to make the impact over me like dwelling on my past. Like it's just something that happened. It's not.
So one of the things that I always do, and we discussed that I have a podcast called The Silver Lined Relaunch. One of the questions that I ask fairly often, especially in situations where somebody has had a situation happen in their life that was traumatizing, that was, you know, something that was done to them. I ask them, would you change anything at this point? Would you go back and change anything in your life if you could?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
I tell you, I've never had anyone, even with the most horrific things that were done to them.
No.
Where you are, as you said, helping people, you are who you are because of the things that happened.
Yeah.
But now you have the choice of how you're going to interpret those situations. And the way you've now interpreted it is, how is that going to help me help others?
Yeah.
And that's so you, and it's so amazing. And you mentioned
it's so Stanley. It's so Stanley of me.
It's so for everyone listening, I think he looks like Stanley Tucci. If you haven't seen him, if you're not watching this on the video side of it, it is kind of funny, and I'm like hooked on Stanley Tucci and what he does in Italy and these shows. So
I'm a
super
big fan.
funny.
Love him. I was embarrassed that I didn't remember. I'm like, I know that name. How do I know? And then I'm like, I love him. Yeah, it was great. So it was just kind of an inside joke that Hilary and I have.
But I want to say one thing, and you've mentioned it now a couple times with the 3 H's.
Yeah.
All right. And the 3 H's is something that I came up with years ago, and it's the heart, to the head, to the higher self. And I really believe that this is, we talk about like the hidden secret that people think, okay, I've got all the steps. I'm going to be able to do this. I can manifest anything. I can have this, lifestyle that I want. I can love. I love my job. I love. And it's all not going to work unless you have the 3 H's working together. You have to have that connection with the heart.
Yep.
You have to have the connection with your head, and I'm not talking about the prefrontal cortex, the stuff that you're thinking daily. Only 5% of all of your habits come from that frontal thinking brain. Everything else is subconscious.
Right.
That's why you have to really understand what's going on below the surface. And then the higher self, universal truths, universal principles, that it's not woohoo, it's who knew how powerful this could really be.
Yeah.
Who knew? And if you're not leveraging those and you're just being reactive to it or even passive to it, you are missing out on something that is a gift to each and every one of us. You talk about the law of attraction, you talk about the law of reflection, you talk about the law of cause and effect. I mean, I could go on and on. How do you leverage those laws, those truths within your business, within your life, within your relationships? And in your intro, you talk about, all of these different areas of your life. Well, when one of them is not working quite right, there's a reason.
Absolutely.
What's going on the inside is a direct reflection of what you have in your bank account, what you have in your relationship, what you have in your business. And you got to start somewhere. And, the easiest thing I can say is start with the 3 H's. Start there. My gosh. If you just start there and you don't do anything else, you will be amazed. You talk about in the intro, prepare to engage, right? ReLaunch is about engaging.
I love it.
ReLaunch is about the steps to engage.
It's so important. Your life is your life because of every decision that you've made. And that's it. There's no story to that. That's what happened. That's it. So if you don't like your life the way it is right now, then choose to live your life differently. It's really that simple.
Choose.
You choose.
It is choose.
It's
choose.
that
and
that
people
simple.
are like, well, how do I do that? That won't work for me. And it's like, all right, if I were to say, do you have an option if you were to say point A or point B?
Exactly.
Choose which one you want to go to.
Exactly. Left or right, and you decide.
Right. It's yes or no. And that goes back to the law of polarity.
Yeah.
Wherever there's one thing happening, there is the opposite. So if you have something going on in your life, there is the opposite out there that you can also lean into. You can also absolutely go to the point where that's what you actually create by your choice,
Absolutely.
by your decisions, by your beliefs, by your feelings, your emotions, all of it. I always love that conversation that talks about you're only as good as the questions that you ask.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, you can only ask questions that are at your identity level. And what I mean by that is your identity is mapping to your belief system. And you will continue to give yourself back the answers that keep you exactly where you are. So if you want to break free, if you want to move from, and by the way, when I say this, I want you to understand that there was a point in my life
I know exactly what you're.
I did
right.
not. I wasn't there. I didn't like myself.
Right.
And so for me to hear from some of the masters and the gurus out there, love your life, love your business, love, love, I'm like, that's BS. I can't even get to the point where I like me.
Right.
And I didn't feel very good about me. So I had to first get to like so that I could get to love.
Yeah. It's so important.
That just lean into that. Remember, now with Olympics, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
That's the first step is it's okay to not like yourself right now. I get it. But you don't want to stay there.
No.
You don't want to stay there. You want to get to that next place. And it's 100% possible.
Yeah.
As long as you lean into what you were even saying and you take responsibility for the next chapter of your life.
And it's a blank canvas, and it's not the blame your life. I'm having this conversation with my daughter. She's 22 years old. She's moving back into dad's house. And I said, look, your life is your life because of all the decisions that you made. You don't have a lot of money. Well, you bought a lot of stuff you probably didn't need. You wanted. And so now we're going to reframe that. You're going to start fresh. You're going to have a new foundation. You're going to be in Arizona. There's a lot of opportunity here. And what's amazing about that is the instant I told her that, she's like, well, she took offense to that. And I said, no, the power is that if you take ultimate responsibility for your life, you can make a different life for you. And your life, the thing that I think is so important for people to realize is that, and they don't see this, is that if your life can crash in one moment, like your whole life explodes, like they're like, that's a possibility. At any moment, my life could explode. Everything could go wrong, and boom, I'm done. Understand that works in the opposite direction as well. You could make a left and a right and a right and a left and go straight, and your life can transform to beyond your wildest dreams just like that. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think their life can crash like that, but your life can transform to happily ever after in a split second, just based on decisions that you make. And
I'm going to take it even one step further
you
down.
Do that.
So
Okay.
that people can really, really grasp this one.
All right.
How do you actually do that? It's your thoughts.
Absolutely.
What thought are you going? It's the words. And remember, your subconscious brain, it doesn't matter if you're thinking a thought or if you're speaking the thought. It's one and the same. Because a lot of times people think, well, I didn't say it. I didn't say anything negative. I didn't throw it out there, but you're thinking it.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you need to do is understand the law of polarity. Understand that whatever you're thinking right now is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And whether it happens tomorrow or it happens in a week or a month, but what if that were really the case for you right now? It's kind of scary, right? You want to make sure that, as you said, it's the white space. And I had a business where I coached Silicon Valley CEOs and entrepreneurs, and the business was called White Space Inc.,
Love
INK.
it. Love it.
And everyone gets to start with a whiteboard that's empty. It's empty right now. So what are your thoughts that you're going to create around, let's just simply talk about your business. What do you want to have happen in your business? And then, my gosh, leverage the universal laws that are out there that are trying to help you. But we self-sabotage.
Yeah.
We do it by ruminating around those thoughts that aren't actually getting us further along in our business and our financial success and our abundance.
Yeah, it's so powerful. So the law of action, which, hey, I wrote the book, is really based on the step that's missing from the law of attraction. Hal Elrod said about it, it's the missing link. It's what you don't do. A lot of people will sit on the couch and are like, I want my life to be better. I want my life to be better. And they make no movement, no momentum in their life. You have to have momentum in your life. And that's so powerful. When you decide and you plan and you take massive inspired action, there's a momentum that's incredible in your life. And it's magical, and it happens fast. It's like a bicycle where you're pedaling and you're going a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. New opportunities happen right before your very eyes. New people appear right before your very eyes. And, you know, I just said this on another podcast. You have to trust the process. You have to trust these laws, especially the law of abundance. I was sharing with you before we started recording that I lost my day spa, and I had a business partner who was a friend, and it was a big fallout. And I took all the responsibility. I'm like, I know where I made a decision that pissed her off or whatever. It wasn't justified, but I know what decision that I made, and I know where I went left and could have gone right. And it was a lot of money. And instead of, and this is my greatest gift from losing this business, I was right. I had an attorney know that I was right. So I was building a war chest. I was going to sue her. I was mad. The amount of money that I was going to get back was not even close to the amount of money, the war chest that I was built to be right and to sue her. And that's it. So I built this up, and then all of a sudden, I just said, that's not who I am. I don't want her in my life. I don't want this drama. I want a life of flow. I don't want to have a document come over my desk in an email saying her name and this court and this docket. It just felt ucky. And it's funny because the day that I just said, I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. Out of abundance, it's fine. I'll just remake it again. No problem. Within 24 hours, I purchased Life Transformation Radio. And some of the money that I had in my war chest went to the purchase.
What a great story.
And so instead of it being in this morass of crap and I took that money and now I'm transforming people's lives. I get to talk to people like you and have an impact, which is far greater than any kind of monetary gain. It's just, life is too short.
I had a situation happen in business where one of my board members tried to do a back end, and we were raising a lot of money, and he really just tried to take the company down so that he could, you'll understand in a second what he was trying to do. And we did have to go through mediation, and it was an awful experience. I mean, we had raised almost $10 million for this company.
Oh.
And I personally had put some money in, and it was, and it, you know, I had given my all to this business. And within about 2 weeks after the mediation, and we decided to lean into it because we were going to lose our D&O, which is the director and officer insurance. It was going to be a 2-year battle, blah, blah, blah. And they just said, you know, just pay him off and be done. And it literally was a decision that I fought with overnight, and I was sick to my stomach, and I was sick to do it, but I eventually did it. And what ended up happening is 2 weeks later, I got a call from the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, and they said, we're looking into this person, and would you be willing to share your hard drive with any conversation? And I said, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, I would. Because there was nothing I had ever done that I didn't want to share, because I had been in my, authentic self of always being in my high level of integrity. And I ended up sharing that information. And within, I believe it was 3 months, he was going to federal prison for a Ponzi scheme.
Wow. Yeah.
And he stayed there for 3 years. Wrote me the letter from prison. I'm so sorry. I, think you're the best, and I did this to you and all that. And I kept always thinking, why did this have to happen? Why? It was such an amazing company, and he brought it down. And then I realized that experience was invaluable for what I'm doing today. I mean, I wouldn't, and that's why I started the Silver Line Relaunch, the podcast, because I thought to myself, it ate me up for so long that I was focused on the wrong part of it. I wasn't focused on the lesson. I was focused on this horrible person that made my life, that was, emotional abusive as I was, leading this company as the CEO and founder of it. And it was, now looking back, when I'm working with people and people are, in situations, I'm like, oh gosh, this sounds really familiar. And I'm so much more than if everything just always went well. So I really want people to realize that the hardships, there's reasons, there's lessons that we're going through it, but you have to be open to hear
the lesson.
Understand the lesson.
Exactly.
So that it doesn't just keep coming back.
Because the universe will, when they have a message to deliver, they will do everything within their power to do that. Yeah.
Yes. And they just keep going. It just keeps happening. So thank goodness I was willing to lean into the lessons that I learned there. And then, the next opportunity, like you said, within 24 hours, this amazing opportunity to get what you're doing now started. Same thing happened for me. It was like, oh my God, yes. So yeah, it's hard when you're going through it. Trust us. Everyone listening, we get it. We do.
Absolutely.
We do. But there is that transition to transformation that we started the show with. And when it starts to happen and you realize so much is based on your interpretation of situations. How do you want to interpret it? Do you want to interpret it like it was a life, my life is terrible because of that? Or I have an opportunity to make my life amazing because of it?
Absolutely. And the thing that I love about Life Transformation Radio and podcasting in general is that people that are listening get to have those crashes and those terrible life events happen that are not happening in their life through the eyes of someone who has, and they get to learn from that and make their life better. That's the greatest 100%. Gift. All the attention that I was focusing on this day spa, and now the attention I'm focusing on this. And that was making money. And this is just lighting me up in ways that I can't even imagine. To hear the impact that some of these shows have had with some of my amazing guests, and I can't wait to release this show, is this is the life that I want. I want everybody to live like they want to be alive. Like, because every day is so powerful and so precious. I want them living in inspired action, and I want everyone to experience their happily ever after because they deserve it. And so when they hear stories of transformation, which is what you went through and what other guests that I've had on the show and what I've gone through, that's how you get it.
I agree. And what you said earlier about the small steps, right? Massive action. You got to start somewhere. And I have a lot of people come to me saying, I feel so stuck. I feel so overwhelmed. I feel so underwhelmed. And you don't have to be.
Right.
And if I could plug a little something here, because as I'm thinking about it, we have a free 7-day, 7-minute, which is a lot like what you talk about with Miracle Morning, little things.
I love it.
And it starts you on your journey. It helps you with that one little first step. And after a week, I haven't heard anybody who's gone through it who hasn't felt like they're on their way.
I love
finally.
it.
So
7 minutes,
that's something
7 days, 7 minutes. Can they get it at the ReLaunchCo.com?
Yeah, they can, and it's called the 7-Day Unstuck Challenge. So if you go to the website, the ReLaunchCo.com, you can get it right there, and it's free.
I love it. Hilary, thank you so much for being here today. I really have enjoyed this. It seems like we've been talking for like a minute and a half, and we've talked just a few minutes longer, and it's just amazing. Like, I'm excited to go back and listen to the show because I have no idea what we talked about. Like, I really don't. So I hope it's good.
That's what I do. I love it. I love you just said that because I agree. Sometimes you're like, oh, there was so much magic in there. Yeah, and there really is. So
you could say,
I need to re-listen to this one.
I'll give you $1 million. Name 5 points that you covered today. And I don't remember much. Which is good because we sat back and let
the magic in these words.
Let the universe let it unfold and happen. So, thank you.
Right.
If you want to reach Hilary, you can get her 7 days, 7-minute challenge. It's called
The Unstuck. How to get unstuck in 7 days. I
love it.
And it's from the ReLaunch. It's from the ReLaunch Co.
The ReLaunch Co. That's the ReLaunchCo.com. And Hilary, amazing. I am so glad that you are here today. I can't thank you enough for being here. Loved it. You got to come back another time, and maybe we'll talk about something that we didn't talk about today, but I think we talked about a lot of stuff. I'm not sure. I think we did.
I would love it.
Oh, you're amazing. And thank you so much for your support and taking the time out of your busy and precious day to listen to Life Transformation Radio. We so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me along my very special guest, my new best friend, my BFF, Hilary DeCesare, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.